All right. Thank you again, folks, for joining us. This is Mainline Executive Coaching ACT. We are here tonight, and we're going to be talking about what does it mean to be and be able to stay in that CEO chair. What does that take? Yeah, Mainline Leaders Coaching. That's what we're doing. And so we've got an exciting topic. We've got some exciting things to discuss. We've got a very exciting guest to bring to you today. I'm Maikel Bailey. This is my partner, Rich Barron. And tonight we have with us Jim Collings. Jim, welcome. Jim is a longtime friend of mine, great guy, great experience, great CEO. Jim, kind of open up the door and give us your me in 60 seconds elevator speech, if you would.
All right. Well, I graduated with a master's degree in accounting, back then it was the Big 8, now it's the Big 4 route. Spent a long time doing that. Then migrated into being the CFO of a small boutique investment banking firm. Then migrated out of that to do some CEOs of some other companies, and then was asked to start doing turnarounds, and spent the remainder of my career doing turnarounds, and now have a medium-sized specialty construction company where we build clean rooms for pharmaceutical and semiconductor companies like Intel, Motorola, Samsung, those kind of companies.
And you've done clean rooms all over the world, actually, right?
Correct. We had offices in Scotland, France, and we built a lot of clean rooms in China too. We've been in the business since the late 1980s, mid 80s, and before China really came of age in the semiconductor business. And we built 1980 initial clean rooms in China, and so forth.
Good. So you've got a span of experience here that's going to be very helpful for us to understand this. What does it mean to be able to sit in that CEO seat? So let's start here with Rich. Give us some information. You were sharing with me earlier today that 25% of the CEOs in the last X number of years have been stepping down, have been walking away from that position, that position you think everybody's aspiring to, everybody wants to be there. But that's a high attrition rate, 25%. Why is that?
Well, this is, it's interesting because Harvard Business Review, they put out this article, and it's entitled "What Sets Successful CEOs Apart." And they talked about, how many of these CEOs end up in, involuntary separation from the company because they don't have the skills necessary to really sit in that seat. And they named four separate behaviors. And one is deciding with speed and conviction. The second would be engaging for impact. Third would be adapting proactively, and delivering reliably. And they found that they marked that these four behaviors, if these successful CEO didn't have at least one or two of those attributes, then more than likely they weren't going to be successful in that position. One of the biggest things they point out is that good CEOs realize that a wrong decision may be better than no decision at all. And having the ability to make a decision based on, you can go back and correct that decision, but you've got to make some kind of decision with a little bit of speed and accuracy, if you will. I don't know what you think about that, Jim, but can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's true. Nobody can be a master of all things. Take me, for example. I came up from the accounting side, doing turnarounds, and had to learn about marketing and sales through that process. So even though I had a skill set on how to solve problems, do cost-benefit analysis, choose a direction based on what was the most cost-effective or the best financial strategy, I still didn't have the skill set on how to really mentor sales, and that's something you have to depend on. You have to be able to hire the right individuals. You then have to be able to connect with them, so you're an effective team, and learn to trust them, and then manage or lead them through the process and help them be the best they can be. And if they're not working out, then you have to find somebody to replace them, just like anybody else. Whereas if somebody comes up through the sales and marketing side and takes over the CEO position, then he's likely to have to depend on the CFO and do the same thing, develop an interpersonal relationship, connect with them, and figure out a way to trust each other and move forward with the company together based on relying on that individual's financial expertise and ability. So nobody unless I guess there's a few people out there that are true geniuses and know everything and can be perfect at everything, but everybody has to figure out a way to work through other people. Every CEO has to work through other people, has to motivate those people. Those people have to trust him or they're going to bail on him and go somewhere else. So I think the main thing in any kind of relationship, if you're really going to be effective for a prolonged period, is developing the interpersonal skills and govern yourself with a set of principles and values that allow people to have faith in you as the leader and to trust you as the leader.
And that's exactly right. And I'm wondering where that lack of preparation comes in, where the CEO really hasn't done the homework on themselves about what do I really believe? What are my character strengths? What are my character weaknesses? What are my principles? What are my values? What is it that I'm really going to stand for? And being able to put that together in such a way that you are that leader. You're a person that has a sense of who you are, a sense of presence, you might say. I know who it is I am, that is able to step into that power seat and work it well, work it wisely, and on all these different levels of, I've got to be that guy that assembles the executive team. I've got to be the guy that defines the culture. I got to be the guy that makes those decisions. I got to be that guy that now knows how to work all this together so that we are working in a way to really create the outcomes that we want. Again, no easy thing. That takes a lot of talent, takes a lot of skill, takes a lot of, it's just plain old backbone to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
So again, what happens when that's not there? Yeah, you're talking about you got to be able to build that team that trusts you and you can rely on. But Rich, when that doesn't happen, what happens?
I think we've seen this. We've seen this happen, and the lack of trust is a big issue. The problem is with trust is if you bring something to the table and you don't show up with that after you've talked about it or after you've shown this, that's a big issue. That's a big trust issue right there. It's important to be able to not only talk about the vision, the mission, and the purpose of the organization, but you need to show up with that. You need to be the person that is the example of everything you're discussing. That's a big problem, and it's interesting that Jim talked about people that he can trust. And, not only, here's one of the interesting things, and I gotta point this out, is that, in a recent M&A that we've been looking at, Maikel, there are definitely two sides of the fence. And there's a definite trust issue where one side thinks the other side's reaching to pull them over, and the other side's not seeing the stress levels and everything that the opposite side is going through. There's no communication. And so therefore, there's been a big trust breakdown on both sides of the fence. And that's a problem. I think the communication is important. The showing up with who you are is important. And just having the character and the vision and the purpose to follow through with that. It's interesting. We talk about inner core values quite a bit. And especially with, senior leadership, with any leadership, if that is, but if you're going to lead people, it's important to be able to lead yourself first, understanding who you are and having those principles and character to show up.
There's something really interesting. I was talking to one of my clients, and we were discussing he's moving into a new position, a new leadership position, and he kept bringing back this idea again and again and again. and that is the idea of clarity. How oftentimes where in the past he's got kind of mucked up and tripped over himself was this sense of lack of clarity. He understands that without that clarity, you really can't have a sense of conviction, a commitment, and also you can't take courageous action. And I think clarity is something that's important because that's the very thing that I think a lot of leaders, or I shouldn't say a lot, but there are leaders out there who are faking it. And when you start faking the clarity, you really can't deliver on the courage. You really can't show up with confidence to lead the people. You brought up a very interesting thing here, Jim, earlier as we were talking about different phases of starting a business. And each of those phases, as you were discussing it, require a different kind of entrepreneurial leadership CEO mindset. Each of them has a different way of looking at the business and moving the business along. And certainly that would be a notion of clarity that delivers on courage. Walk us through some of those phases of a new startup business, would you please?
Sure. In today's high-tech world where there's a lot of things are moving toward high-tech. High-tech drives two major things for really short-term focus. You have a CEO that might be the young CEO of a startup, right? He's got an idea. He knows technology. He knows how to grab some coders, and he sees a little niche in the market. So he creates an app for that niche, or he creates some program or some device, and it's all based on some kind of market niche, and it's all based on scalability. The thing that happens now is everything's about scalability. I read something a while ago about adoption cycles. It used to be 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it would take 10 to 15 years to penetrate a market and get maybe a 50 to 60% adoption rate on new technology. Now it's about somewhere between 9 months and 2 years to get that kind of penetration and adoption. And when something comes to market, everything needs cash. And so now it's about A, B, C, D funding, right? Trying to get to the IPO, because and it's all about private equity now. Private equity does the seed funding, then they go to B funding, then they go to C, and each funding has a different strategy. Like, we're going to build out the technology, we're going to get so many subscribers with the C round, we're going to get so many purchases of our app with the C round. The D round is going to fill out our organization and get us ready for the IPO. Then you do the IPO, and everything's driven by return now. So it used to be you built a company for a legacy. It was a company that would stand the test of time, and it would grow, and it would grow and grow and grow. Well, that's great if you're a Fortune 500, but for the average CEO and all these businesses, there's still some manufacturing businesses out there that just crank away. But most of the CEOs now have some kind of technology focus, because we live in a technology-driven world, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's whatever, right? And every time you take someone's money, it's about, okay, I'm investing at this rate. I plan to exit on this next round or 2 rounds after, or with the IPO. So, and that's usually a 4 to 5 year window, right? So all you're focused on is getting those objectives you need to hit to meet the IPO, or to position yourself to get the next funding round, right? So your whole goal is to structure things so you can go get the next private equity round, and so you can accomplish what needs to be accomplished, and you just churn through people to get that. You don't care about people. Sure, you need a bond. I shouldn't say you don't need. Most people, even though they espouse all these nice buzzwords, with all the nice mission statements, and we're fun, and just Just look at the way they try to hire people. We're looking for an energetic, motivated one, and they use all these real flowery adjectives. And most of the time, you get inside the company, and they're a bunch of craven jerks, just trying to cash out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got stock options, and they're just trying to cash out. Right.
That golden parachute.
Because they were in early, they got their options. They care about getting the objectives done, but then they're waiting for that ticket so they can get out, make a big kill, and then save society or do whatever after, right?
Yeah.
But during the process, they might have some emotional intelligence, know how to get along, but that's different. Getting along in a team and being competent in team building is different than really caring about people. I mean, if you really think about it, right? You can see me the way I am right now, right? But this isn't who I am. Everything anybody is, I don't care what color, what sexual orientation, what race, all that. This is like a building show. How many times have you gone into a building and you think it's not going to be very cool from the outside, right? It's kind of like Goldman Sachs in New York, right? It doesn't even say Goldman Sachs. It's just a number. You go through this granite wall and it's gorgeous and spacious inside, right? Or you can go into the facade is beautiful, but you go inside and it's just run down in a wreck. The point I'm making is that all of us, no matter what shell we have, we are only what's inside our brain. Everything we are is based on how we defined ourselves as an individual. Everybody asks those questions all the time when it's all quiet. Who am I? What value do I have? Does any effort I make really matter? And when you look at it that way, that's why I think relationships are so important. If you're going to build something long term, you've got to understand that the way I behave and treat people actually create those people, because they take all the cues from me as the leader and they internalize those and they define themselves based on that.
Yeah, that's great insight. That's because everybody's asking that same questions. Who am I? Am I worth it? What is my value? Can I really make it? Everybody's asking, coming from those same positions. And you as that leader have a tremendous opportunity to define people in ways that either are going to build them and help them create a new momentum there in the business. And even for the rest of their lives, I've known people that I've worked with that they've come back to me and said, you changed my life. Just working for you changed my life. And they've gone in totally different businesses and been very, very successful. But that time you have to touch them and make a difference with them is enormous. And if the money, if what your thing is the money, and money is important, but if the money is more important than the people, what it is you're going to create in that experience with your company and the people that come there is going to be a very different kind of experience than those that, we care about the money, we care about the products, we care about the clients, we care about all of it. And this is what we're going to build. That is a completely, totally different experience in the workplace. Great insights, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, it's tough to really do that
It is
in society now, right? For example, if you're in a high-tech company and you take money for whatever round, and the expectation is from the private equity firm, they've got to perform because they got to return an investment return to their investors, right?
Right.
And so if they expect, if the expectation is I'm going to get a 2.5 to 3x multiple in 2.5 years, then that's the whole goal. It doesn't matter how great the product is, what it can be, how big you can build the company. All that matters is getting to that target 2.5 years from now, because that allows the company to go to the next step.
It's very interesting. You talk about that, and you mentioned something, Jim, about that. Bringing people in, so I've got I can pull the cord and jump ship. We talked about this great resignation, and we've heard a lot about the great resignation recently. And the one thing that we hear about is it's a lot of people that were leaving their jobs. They didn't mention how many CEOs were involved in that. 8% of all Fortune 1000 company CEOs in the last month and a half have left. They left their positions. And there was a lot of speculation as to are they looking for a different opportunity? Is it the golden parachute? Are they just going to turn this over to whoever is next in line? But it's interesting you said that. There's, the one thing about this younger generation, there's absolutely no shortage of skills, talents, understanding, technological savvy. The one thing that is missing in a lot of this is heart. The ones that really want to come in and make a difference instead of trying to, pad their own portfolio and, shine that name on that corner office on the outside. But, it's interesting. You mentioned a lot of that and building that trust within your own group and how many of these are really just in it for, for the ride. And I'm going to bail when the time's right.
Yeah, but I'd say I'd say one of the components is the uniqueness of where we are right now.
Right.
And not to be political, but if you're a CEO in 2016, right? Money's cheap. Taxes aren't going to be an issue. The one thing about Trump is he was very clear on where he was coming from and what he would do. And because of that, it's like people who join and want to stay with the CEO, what they're really saying is, before they join, am I safe with you? Is my career safe with you? Is my home safe with you? It's all the obligations I have. Can I meet them? Is it safe to be with you? Will you create an environment with enough clarity and enough vision and enough growth that I know my job's safe and there won't be a disruption in my life? And if you can sell that, then the people join you and you work as a team to accomplish whatever. It's no different with the nation, right? That's the same question all these CEOs are asking of the Biden administration or previously asked of the Trump administration. If you're a CEO and you got to have cheap money, you don't want to blow that money on taxes. You want to be reinvested in the company, and you want a stable economy that you can sell into. Then, bam, you can run up the company. Companies will grow. Businesses will thrive because all the components all the resources that make a business successful are there in space, and you can see it. You know how to make a bet. With Trump, to use my son's analogy, it's like being in Las Vegas and looking at the crap table and seeing 4 reds in a row, thinking, you know what, I'm going to bet on white. I know how this is going. I know I can bet on white because the probability is it's going to be white. I mean, it's been 4 in a row of red. And so it's predictable, right? Under Trump, the business environment was predictable. And if you were a CEO who had a good run up under Trump, and now you look at things and you say, nothing is predictable. Who knows how much taxes are going to be? Inflation's going crazy. Who knows whether I can even get product to manufacture, the raw resources to manufacture what I need to manufacture? There's a big backlog. I can't even get silicon to make chips. And I've performed. I've run up the company. I can cash out now. I can cash out my stock options. Hey, it's going to be hell for the next 4 years. Goodbye and good luck. I've just made $50 million. I'm out of here. Who in their right mind wouldn't do that?
Right, or I'm right there with you.
Yeah, if you want to debate this, we have to bring in a fourth person in this one. That's not going to happen here.
But then there's a difference, right? There's the CEO of a private company, right? Who's a major owner. Now he's got to navigate. He can't let his people down. Maybe he can. Maybe he can just close up shop. He's got enough built up over the years. He can just say, "Why go through the jeopardy?" Or maybe he says, "I can't do this. This was my grandfather's company. I'm charged with running it. Now I've got to make it happen." Well, now you're talking about real courage, right? Because now you really got to figure it out. And you can only figure it out and be successful then with people you trust and who trust you, because when it comes time to fight, one of the experiences I had, we had a company that one of our divisions built ballistic bunkers for military tactical and SWAT teams. That is a fascinating industry, because if you've ever watched these action adventure shows, if you've ever noticed when they're trying to clear a house or when they're going into an area they don't know, they stack up at the door. And every time they stack up at the door, they'll squeeze somebody out. They'll squeeze the guy ahead of them on the shoulder, or they'll take their knee and they'll bump him in the thigh. And they're almost spooning each other as they get ready to go in, right? And they'll use the term "with you" because nobody's going to look behind them because all eyes are straight ahead, right? And in that term "with you" is powerful, powerful stuff. I've had an opportunity to train with those guys and be in a stress inoculation situation with paintball guns, going through with elite military units, training right alongside them. Because they were testing our product. We wanted to learn how they utilized our product, so they were gracious enough to let us do that. Well, it's a phenomenal thing, that kind of trust, because you are trusting someone with not just your product, with your life. And they have that kind of commitment to each other that they will die together. And when you go in that door, it's called the fatal funnel. When you go in that door, you'll notice that one guy will peel right, follow that door, whichever way it swings, right around that direction. And if there's somebody, and his sole job is to clear this corner right here, right? If there's a guy over in this other corner, he doesn't even pay attention to him. He's betting his life that the guy behind him will shoot that guy, because his job is clearing that corner. And everybody else comes in, the second guy will peel left. Maybe he'll take another target, but he'll peel left and he'll clear the opposite corner up. And they're all coming through so fast that, the barrels are right over the rifles are right over the other guy's shoulders, so that they can take shots while the other guys are moving, right? That kind of coordination, that kind of trust in each other is what it takes to face a turnaround, or what it takes to face the kind of conditions we face now. If you're not in the mode to do something that only has a 2-year or 6-month or 1-year window to get to the next funding round, If you're the CEO who's got to gut it through the uncertainty we now face, where every day could bring up a new problem, you got trust is key.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that.
That was awesome, Jim.
Yeah, it's outstanding. All right, Jim, it's been a real pleasure. I knew it was worth keeping after you to get you on, and you have proved me 120% or more right.
Absolutely.
So, I hope it was enjoyable. I mean, it's just my perspective, but there's just certain things you have to have for people. I mean, think about it. I mean, we all look different, right? And everything's now about diversity, anything else. And this is, but in reality, everyone is just gray. And everything that individual is happens within the gray matter up here. How he interprets himself, how he interprets others, how he conducts himself. It's all we're all gray. We're all set. My belief is, if we all looked at each other as incredible sentient beings, whom, if we don't treat well, could send them on a trajectory that would limit their growth, limit their potential, and diminish them, and that someday either the universe, God, or whoever, maybe it's whomever, I'm not an English major, but would hold us accountable for that. I think a lot of things would change for the better.
Yep. Am I safe with you? That's a great question. Am I safe with you?
That's I just wrote that down, and I put your name as the author. So that's excellent.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I hope it was helpful.
Great. It's great. We'll have you on again. Work out something again for you to come on. Tremendous. All right. Well, Rich, take us home.
All right.
Thank you.
I hope you all enjoyed tonight's episode as much as I did, and learned as much about being a CEO and simply being a leader and a good person as I did tonight. This was phenomenal. So a big shout out, Maikel, to our folks in Texas tonight. We've had a lot of individuals from Texas downloading our podcast, and thank you so much. It continues to go global, continues to gain followers, and we're so thankful that you're out there supporting us. And let us know what we can do. Leave us a message, podandbox.com, and you can go on there and leave us a message and let us know what you think, or executiveleadersact.ilec.com. Go to our website, book some time with us. Let's talk. And, if you have any comments for Jim, Jim, can I put your email up on the screen here?
Sure. It's just Jim call COL 54 at gmail.com.
Okay, well, this is a different one I got up there. Maybe it's wrong, but I can fix that.
Well, which one do you have? I got several.
It's jim.c.collings@gmail.com.
That's kind of the one I just use for family and close friends.
Okay, all right. Well, I hope you don't get about 1,000 close friends here real quick. Send you email. So, yeah, you can use that on the site and make sure that people send it to the right one.
that one's fine.
All righty.
We're going to get on a speaking tour, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely.
That's the story now.
Absolutely. So again, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. Take care, be safe, and we'll see you again next time.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.